Hello everyone, welcome to Learn DAX channel. My name is Desh and this is the fifth video in the end-to-end project video series in which we are converting a bunch of business problems into DAX queries. If you haven't watched the first four parts, I would really encourage you to go ahead and watch those videos as we are building one video at a time. I will leave the link in the description, be sure to check them out. So for today's demonstration, we have the following questions. So first, we start with calculate the ratio of the highest single order amount to the average order amount for each product. So what do I mean by that? So let's head over to Power BI and let's break it down one by one. So if I pull out the product name column from the products table, and similarly, if I pull out, let me just close this filter pane for now. And similarly, if I pull out the order date and change the order date setting to an order date instead of an hierarchy, and also the sales amount. So what I observe here is, for example, for Apex Yoga Mat, there were three sales that had happened. First on 9th of July, the second on 18th of July, and the third on 29th of July. Similarly, the sales amount corresponding to those three dates were 550, 275, and 250. So what the question is asking us, I want the ratio of the highest sales amount, which in case of Yoga Mat, Apex Yoga Mat, happens to be 550 to the average sales amount, which in this case would be, if I pull out my calculator, it would be 550 550 plus 275. There's a glitch in my calculator. I have to open it again. So it will be 550 plus 275 plus 250 divided by 3. So that would be my average sales amount. And the ratio of the max sales amount or the highest order amount to my average sales amount would be this 550 divided by 358.33. So whatever I did, I have to divide that by 358.33. So 550 divided by 358.33 is something that I should get when I actually solve this question. So let's create a new table for that. So I go to modeling, new table, and let's create our query. So order ratio will be summarize it will be we are taking the orders table and we want the product name and also we want in the first column the sales amount. Let's go with the sales amount. I actually want all the three values. I want the sales amount, the max sales amount, the average sales amount, and the ratio. So that will simply be sum x orders sales amount. And the next thing I want is the max sales amount. And that will be calculate max of my sales amount, which comes from the orders table. Yeah, this one. Given that my sales amount should be okay, we are not calculating the latest sales amount, so we can simply use the max sales amount and it should work for us. Because in my previous video, I had to calculate the order amount for the latest order date. So we were using the max sales amount such that order date happens to be the max order date. But in this case, we simply want the max order amount. We are not worried about if it's the latest order date or if it's the first order date. We simply want the max sales amount. So I'm not using that order date criteria in this case. And the third will be my average sales amount, which should be, I can simply use average x orders and I want to average the orders sales amount. So now I need the order ratio, which will be the division of my max sales amount, which will be this particular part, and then I will divide it by the average sales amount, which happens to be this particular part. I think I don't even need the calculate in this case. I can simply use a max sales amount. So if I just remove this bracket here and we just want to reduce the complexity of the query, we don't want to necessarily include calculate, um, comma. The alternate result, should there be a 0 by 0 situation, should be 0. And I want to multiply it by 100 so that I can get a percentage form. Now, let's pull this onto our table and let's just verify if our output is correct or not. Okay, this is not what, okay. I accidentally pulled this on this particular table. So I will pull the product name, then the sales amount. So far it's good because the apex yoga mat happens to be 1075, which is the sum of 550 plus 275 plus 250, which I can verify. Hopefully the calculator does not have any glitch at this time. It does not. Plus 250, which happens to be 1075. Let's do one more check. Let's go for the avalanche snowboard, which is 2000 plus 2750. We can just do this mentally. It will be 4750. Yeah, that's 4750. Now I want the average sales amount, which when we calculated using our calculator was 358.33 from what I can remember. So let's do it just once more to verify. Plus 250 divided by 3. So yeah, we are right. So the average sales amount happens to be correct. Now let's go with the max sales amount. If it's correct, then it should show me 550 for Apex Yoga Mat, which is again correct. Now the last parameter that I want to pull in this case, will be my order ratio. So now order ratio is something that I actually don't want in a percentage. I shouldn't have multiplied it by 100 because it's a ratio, it's not a percentage. So when I remove that multiplied by 100, I get the corrected order ratio. So for Apex Yoga Mat, the ratio of the average sales amount or the ratio of the max sales amount to my average sales amount happens to be 1.53. Similarly, the ratio for the avalanche snowboard of the max sales amount, which is 2750, to the average sales amount happens to be 1.16. And that concludes our question number one. So let me create a new page and let's start with the question number two. We have too many calculators open. We need to close these. Let me just close these one by one. We just need one calculator. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We need to calculate the percentage contribution of top three products to the total sales. So this is also going to be fairly straightforward and simple. I will create a new table. So we want the top three products by the sales amount, which is going to be easy. Top three products, or what else do we have? Percentage contribution of top three products to this total sales. Okay, so not only do I need the top three products, but I also need the contribution of those three sales to the total sales amount. So I will use the summarize function. So a lot of the measures that we are creating using the queries that we are writing using the summarize function can also be created using individual measures. The reason why I'm using summarize is because we are able to somehow collate everything in just one query. If I have to create different DAX measures for each of those individual parts, like for example the max sales amount or the average sales amount, then I can still get the answer. It will just that I'll have to pull out the product name from the products table and those measures. Whereas in this case, we just create that table and see the values right in the single table. But if you are doing a project in which you have to create those individual measures, that actually is more helpful because the measures inherently become a part of the data model. So when I create these tables using the summarize function, so now if I create a dashboard out of it, they may or may not uh, totally interact with my original tables that I have loaded simply because there is no interaction, there is no relationship that is being built. But when I create a measure, it is going to inherently be in a relationship with the tables that I have already built. So the recommended way would be to go with measures in some cases And in some cases where we just want to do some trial and error, we want to check our values and we just are practicing for our own selves, summarize can be a great way to do things. So let's get back to our question. So we have to calculate the percentage of contribution of top three products. So first we need the orders table, then let's go ahead with this quickly. The product's name, then we would need the sales amount, will be nothing but the sum x order sales amount, whereas the total sales amount, if you have watched my previous videos, will be sum x remains the same, orders sales amount. So if you have watched my previous videos, you know what's something missing in this formula, and that is this all function, which will negate the inherent filter context being provided by the product's name. And the next thing I need is the contribution. So I write contribution. Here I will have to multiply by 100. Here I leave that in the divide function. Contribution percentage will be divide. I will divide. Can I simply use the sales amount? No, I cannot. I will have to copy and paste this. So copy this, paste here. Again, copy this, paste here. For a 0 by 0 condition, I'm writing 0 multiplied by 100. Now, that's not over because this is for all the products. I want top 3. So I use the top n function. I need 3 values. Now, on what basis do I want to order this? I want to order this based on the sales amount. And in what order do I want it to be sorted? I want to be sorted in descending order. Once I hit enter, this is what I get. So if I pull out the values from the, where do I have it? The top 3 products. Okay, I have the product name. I will have, because there are only 3, the top 3, sales amount, the total sales amount, and the contribution percentage. So let's go back to our old friend, the calculator, and let's verify if this is correct. 26500 divided by 107865 multiplied by 100, 24.57. Okay, that's good. 340000 divided by 107865 multiplied by 100. Yeah, we are good. Now if you want to verify this manually, I can pull out the product name from the products table and I can pull out, I do have the sales amount. I think I've already created it in previous of my videos. What is the measure for it? Yeah, this should be right. Total sales amount negates the filter context. So yeah, this should be right. If I create a new measure, so now I will create a new measure. Basically, I'm doing the same thing without using the summarize function. Percentage contribution. So here you get to see both using a table as well as using measures. Will be divide the sales amount and my total sales amount. For a 0 by 0 condition, I write 0 multiply by 100 and let me just make some space for this. I want the top 3 values. Contribution, percentage contribution, I pull it here. I change this table so that it filters top 3 products based on the sales amount. Apply filter. So what do I get? Exactly the same identical answer. The Cyclone mountain bike and Titan treadmill and velocity tennis racket. The exact identical answer. So something that we can do either using measures or using the summarize function. We have done both ways. Now let's move on to the third and last question of this video. We want to calculate the total revenue generated from the products supplied by the suppliers and also the number of distinct products sold by that supplier. Now, this is fairly simple. The first part is we have to calculate the total revenue generated, and we also need to mention the number of distinct products sold by that supplier. So let's head over to Power BI and get this thing done. So I create a new table. What do we call that table? Total revenue generated from product supplies, and also uh, I'll just say product analysis because I can't think of a table name for this. Or supply analysis simply will be, yeah, supply analysis sounds better because it encompasses what we are trying to do, the sales as well as the discount of products, total revenue and the distinct products. So yeah, orders table, we want supplier name. We would need the supplier name, not the supplier ID, the supplier name. So each supplier, I want the sales amount, which will be sum x orders sales amount. So this will give me the sales amount for each supplier. And I also want the number of distinct products. So I think the title of the column gives away which function we are going to use. Distinct count of the products. I can either use the product ID or I can use the product name. Let's go with the product ID. And that should be it. So let's go to our supply analysis table. And let's pull out the supplier name. So these are the different suppliers, and this is the revenue generated by those suppliers. And what are the number of distinct products being supplied? So active supplies is partaking or is selling two distinct products. The Apex Sports Supply is selling three distinct products. The Sporty Goods is again selling two distinct products. We can verify this by pulling something from the suppliers table and also from the products table. Let's do that. So I have my suppliers table. I will pull out the supplier name and moment of truth. Does it work? I have the product ID. I would take the string count of product ID and I just put it side by side. Yeah, it works. It works. So the number of distinct products sold by active supplies is 2. When I check it using drag and drop, it's 2. For Apex supplies, it is 3. For Apex Sports Supply, it is 3. So yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please leave your thoughts and feedback in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching and happy learning.